Welcome to P3 Radio.
The monkey only dances as good as the guy grinding the organ handle.
Brother.
I fly, bro. That is never stopping.
Truck goes to Dwayne.
Cool story, bro.
Footy pajamas.
Hey, genius, it's 2 p.m. Central.
PG3 Radio.
Here's your host, Josh Riley.
Get him off big, Freddy. Get him off big.
Richard Mullican.
And as I put you down, my pants ripped.
It's showtime! It's showtime! It's showtime!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of P3 Radio. We want to say a special happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans out there listening to us. Thank you for listening to P3 Radio, and thank you for what you've done for our country. It is Veterans Day here at P3 Radio. I'm Richard Mullican, joined by my co-host and best friend, Jackson's favorite son, the one, the only, Josh Briley. Say hey, Josh.
Well, I am Mrs. Ray's favorite son, but Richard, how are you doing, my man?
I am doing great. Like I said, it is Veterans Day here when this comes out.
Happy Veterans Day.
And
Thank you for your service, Richard.
And we've got a big show lined up for you this week. A little bit later on, we're going to be joined by none other than the man that voiced our childhood, Dave Brown. And I'm excited to talk to him here today, Josh, on P3 Radio. This has been a long time coming.
Yeah, and what a way to get back into interviewing people than with Dave Brown. I mean, it's a dream come true in my view. It's, like you said, the voice of our childhood, and it's somebody that I just really never thought that we would get to talk to because, you know, he's just, he's like a superhero in my eyes.
You looked it up with me earlier. He doesn't do interviews. Like, he's only done a couple of interviews since he retired, and he's only done a few podcasts. So it's been pretty cool to have, to have him say yes. We have to say a big shout out to Ramona, who helped us get this interview.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Ramona. It meant so much to us.
We actually did an email 1 year ago to try to get him, and I don't know if he ever looked at that email or not, but we ended up finding a workaround and got a hold of him, and thanks to Ramona, we got a hold of him, and he's going to be on here in a little while, and I can't wait, man. But I tell you, I'm sitting here halfway wanting to cough, Josh. I just started back on this Couch to 5K. Have you ever done that?
It depends on what you're talking about. Couch to 5K?
It isn't like somebody come home early and you have to run off the couch.
No, I was thinking I've sat on the couch for the duration of a 5K, but I didn't know what you meant.
No, it's a program that gradually takes you on a running path. So like you'll run every minute 30, and then you'll walk for 2 minutes.
Now,
run
is this
for
like
a minute 30, walk for 2 minutes?
Is this like an app or something?
Yeah, it'll tell you start running, stop running, walk, start running. And it's designed to take you from just sitting on the couch all day to then by the end of it you're running 3.1 miles?
So it's like your own personal Sergeant Craig the Pitbull.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Although it should be meaner. We grew up.
You got at least 5 more in you.
Right. Come on, fatty. Get to moving. That's what I feel like, man. But I'm wearing my my watch, my smartwatch that's tracks my heart rate and everything.
What kind you got?
It's just an Amazon watch, like Amazbit. It's an Amazon brand watch.
Oh, okay.
It's a smartwatch. It's not like I bought it from Amazon. I did buy it from Amazon, but it wasn't.
I thought you were talking about
generic.
you bought it from the Amazon.
Yeah,
from the sound
I
of
bought
it.
it on them YouTubes.
I've never heard of it.
No. So I was looking at it, and apparently it shows you calories too. Because at one point I was running and really struggling today, and I looked down and I was like, 195. I thought my heart rate was up. I was like, I'm about to die. I'm getting too old to be at 195. It is depressing when you go to the gym though, and you see that heart rate calculator, and you see where you were 10 years ago and where, now that would be pretty much stroke level for you. As you get older, your heart rate's not supposed to go up that high. So,
right.
But no, man, everything on me is sore. My legs are sore. My back is sore. but better sore than rent.
I was going to say, as long as it's not burnt, then you're good. You didn't look like you were in any kind of pain,
No.
in any kind of agony. No complaints from you other than the sore muscles and getting up them stairs to do this show. But I'm happy you're taking the initiative. I only wish I had the drive that you do to get that app and maybe apply it to my life.
It's only 3 days a week.
I get it, but I'm just so lazy sometimes after work. I work hard, man.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I'm so ready to get home and sit on that couch, and I guess I'm just going to put up with the potbelly unless I want to change.
I'll be honest with you, man. It's all about diet. That's all it is. Your whole body shape is about diet, and the better the food you put into it. I mean, I've seen people lose weight without having to exercise before. It's totally natural. I mean, it's not totally. Well, it's totally natural. It can totally be done. It's just, man, sometimes I don't know. Do they still sell Big and Tasties?
No, but they do sell the Reese's flavored cupcakes. Only at my work have I ever seen them.
Right.
Them things are like they're kryptonite to my well-being.
Right.
But man, they are like gold to my taste buds.
Right.
Oh my God.
I mean, back when I was younger, you get a Big and Tasty for $1, and we're talking like a big burger with cheese and mayonnaise.
And you know, when you're young, you're poor.
Yeah.
Because $5, if you don't have a job yet, you know, you're kind of in that age to where, well, I'm kind of relying on mom or dad. You go and get 5 of them things and eat them.
Four tax and everything included. You can only get 4 for $5.
But you would eat them in a sitting.
Right. You'd eat them in one sitting because that was lunch and dinner. But, I mean, and it's way cheaper if you go price things out. You know, I can get ice cream for $2, or I can get a thing of grapes for $4.50. And the ice cream's probably going to last me longer. So it's like, it's just about making smart choices. But I tell you what, Josh, another smart choice would be if you're looking to buy concert tickets, say you're looking to go to a sporting event, say WWE's coming to town. How are you going to get there? Well, we suggest you get there by going to Score Big. Score Big is the online leading retail provider for sports, concert, family events. They're going to get your seat, and they're going to get it to you at a great price, absolutely covered.
Now, is this all secure?
That's what I was just about to say. It's all secure, absolutely covered, 100% transaction guaranteed ticket sales from scorebig.com. And to get to scorebig.com, please visit them by going to our website, tinyurl.com/P3events. tinyurl.com/P3events. tinyurl.com/ That's just the slash. Don't write out slash. SLAS. No, don't write that out. Just slash P3 events, all one word. Get over there and buy your tickets now from scorebig.com by using our link, tinyurl.com/P3 events. Welcome back to P3 Radio. Right now, Josh, we have someone on the phone with us that I am, as my grandmother would say, tickled pink to talk to. He is a guy that we grew up watching. He's basically the voice of our childhood, from wrestling to news to weather. He was there more than some of our family members. We saw him, and we are honored to have Mr. Dave Brown. Dave, thank you for doing P3 Radio right now.
Oh, glad to be with you guys today, Richard, Josh. Looking forward to it.
We are, like I said, absolutely excited. That is no slight what I'm saying here. We honestly saw you more than some of our family members. I have great uncles and uncles that I never saw. Heck, my biological father I didn't see as much as I saw you, because you were just there. You were a staple in our lives, and I tell you, we're more nervous right now than we have been. And we've interviewed an Olympic gold medalist, and we're nervous right now talking to Mr. Brown.
Indeed, we
are.
are.
My goodness, you're very kind. Yes, I had a great career. I did 54 years in broadcasting altogether, radio and television, and 35 of those years I co-hosted the wrestling show. 25 of them I co-hosted with my super great friend Lance Russell.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Lance Russell and championship wrestling, we have some mutual friends, and we were talking to one of our mutual friends who hosts the CW wrestling show, Championship Wrestling, Dustin Starr, and he found out we were going to be talking with you, and he said, "Ask Dave about Pro Shingle."
Well, Pro Shingle's a client that I have right now. Even though I'm 99% retired, I still do a few things here and there. And so Pro Shingle approached, and they're a good company. I checked them out, so I'm the spokesperson for Pro Shingle. So if you need a roof, I recommend you contact them.
Yeah, I think Pro Shingle does a lot of work with Championship Wrestling. They're one of their main sponsors. But one thing I do have to ask you this. I talked to you earlier today and I said, I was in the wrestling business for about 10 years and I always got this question. So I thought it would be appropriate to ask you, what family and friends that would see me, they'd say, what got you into all that wrestling? I'd hear that a lot in the South. And I said, what do you mean? So what I would want to know was what got you into the wrestling business?
Well, it wasn't accidental, but it wasn't the wrestling itself that got me into it. Let me tell you what happened. I was a DJ playing rock and roll records on one of the biggest radio stations in the country at the time, WHBQ Radio in Memphis. And one Saturday afternoon, I happened to be working, and Lance came in after he finished the wrestling show, and he always called me Davey. He said, Davey, he said, Dale, who was his co-host at the time, is leaving. He's taken another job close to his hometown, and I need somebody to help me out on Saturdays on the wrestling show. He said, I don't know how you feel about wrestling, whether you love it, hate it, or indifferent to it, but let me tell you this, if you ever think you might want to work in television, you should take this job. And you'll find out two things. You'll find out if you like television, and you'll find out if television likes you, because a lot of people would like to be on television, and it just doesn't work for some reason. So I thought about it, didn't think about it a real long time, but I gave it some thought, and I decided, this is something that I should do. So the next Saturday, I was sitting in the chair. This was in January of 1967. That next Saturday, I was sitting in the chair next to Lance Russell, who was, I cannot say enough good things about Lance Russell. He was a great mentor. At different times in our lives, he was a co-worker, he was a mentor, he was a boss, he was a partner, and through the whole thing, we were great lifelong friends who never had a bad word between us in all the years that we knew each other. And he brought me along. He said, look, he said, just jump in there when you feel like it. Don't press. He said, you can sit here the whole hour and not say a word. He said, I hope you won't do that, but you can if you're comfortable with that. Just make yourself comfortable and come along and long. Well, it was great advice. He was an incredible teacher, and as everybody listening knows, in my mind, he is the greatest wrestling commentator in the history of television wrestling, and that's saying a lot because there are a lot of really good wrestling commentators.
Indeed. Are there any wrestlers in particular that you just absolutely love doing segments or interviews with more so than others, like Handsome Jimmy?
Yeah, well, Handsome Jimmy, all you had to say is Handsome Jimmy Baggin, and he was off and running. So you didn't have to ask a lot of questions. The only thing we had to do with Handsome Jimmy is just to make sure that we got the plugs in for Monday Night Wrestling, which is, of course, where the money was made. Money wasn't made on television on Saturdays. The money was made on Monday night with the ticket sales at the Mid-South Coliseum. So we had to make sure those plugs got in so that the fans would want to go see those matches. But with Jimmy, as I recall, that was never a problem. He was fantastic. The interesting thing about Jimmy, too, Jimmy was totally different off camera than what you saw on camera. On camera, he would come out, this crazy wild man dancing and shaking and all of that sort of stuff. But you go back in the dressing room, and Jackie and Jimmy is sitting there just very quietly and reading poetry or something. He's just very quiet, very mild-mannered guy, and I liked him a lot, still do to this day.
That's usually what you hear about Handsome Jimmy, and the first time one of my relatives told me about that, I was in shock because of, like you say, he was just wild and extremely out of control at times on TV.
You got to think it's hard to hold that persona. That was an over-the-top persona. You got to think it's hard to hold that all day. It'd be like smiling all day.
Well, yeah, but
I think the quiet person is who Jimmy really is, and he was just able to turn on that personality for the wrestling interviews and for what he needed to do for the job. And he was I thought he was absolutely terrific at it.
Now, when you got started in what was the territory days, I mean, Memphis was its own territory back in the day. Now, when you got started, wrestling wasn't like it is now. It was a very closed circuit, and it was hard to get into. Did you witness anybody trying to be a little bit, harder for you to get in when you came in? Did anybody try to protect the business a little bit, not let you in, or did you find it was a very open business once you were introduced to the guys?
Well, I didn't have to come in that way too much. If Lance Russell said, this is the guy that's going to co-host the show with me, then that was all there was to it. There was no problem. Of course, at the time, the Memphis territory was run by Nick Gulas and Roy Welch. They were based out of Nashville. Roy, though, was originally from Yorkville, Tennessee, and West Tennessee. So he had a great West Tennessee connection. But Gulas and Welch ran virtually all the state of Tennessee, and northern Alabama, central Kentucky, and even in Evansville, Indiana. So it was a huge territory that they were running. And no, we never had any problem. Never had any problem getting into it. But yes, it was a very tightly controlled. The Florida territory didn't step on the Tennessee territory. But what they did, like Eddie Graham in the Florida territory, he would loan wrestlers to Tennessee. And if we had guys who had been wrestling for weeks and weeks and weeks, and the crowd went, I don't care to see them, I've already seen them 6 times, right, then they would go to Florida for a while. And, we would swap talent like that, but we did not tread on each other's territory when it came to, I think I'll run in Tallahassee next week. Well, no, you won't, because that's Eddie Graham's territory. So, yeah, it was a very closed thing in those days.
Well, you mentioned Nick Gulas. And I'm assuming you were there when Jarrett left Gulas, right?
Yep, I was there. We were at Channel 13, and it was 1977, and Jerry Jarrett had the way Jerry tells the story much better than I do, but according to Jerry, pretty much quoting him, Nick messed him around. He thought he had bought part of the company, and then Nick one day said, you don't own the company. What you bought is an option to buy part of the company, and those options have expired. So he just took Jerry's money, and Jerry didn't get anything out of it. Well, Jerry said, hey, this ain't gonna fly. So he got with most of the guys, all of the guys actually, and most of them did agree that they wanted to work for Jerry, not for Nick. So they formed this new wrestling company, and all of the guys, all the big guys except Tojo Yamamoto and Jackie Fargo, went with Jerry Jarrett and Jerry Lawler. Jerry Jarrett had Jerry Lawler, and he was the big draw in the territory at the time. So it was pretty obvious, given the talent that Jerry Jarrett was able to take with him, that was going to be the successful promotion, and of course it was. And not too long after that, Tojo and Jackie Fargo joined Jerry Jarrett too. Now, what happened there was also interesting. We were at WHBQ Channel 13 in Memphis, and at the ABC affiliate. And Lance went to his boss and said, look, he said, we need to go with this new company and forget this old company. And so they said, well, that's where the talent is. That's what we need to do. Well, the lawyers in New York in the home office got a hold of that, and they said, you can't do that. They'll sue the heck out of you, and you'll lose. So Lance says, well, what do? We don't want a losing show on the air. And they said, just cancel the whole thing. So that's what happened. And that's how it ended up. Lawler approached Channel 5, WMC in Memphis, and it became even more successful there than it was at Channel 13.
Now, I know you were in the back a lot when they were putting these shows together and everything. Did you ever try your hand at helping format the shows and book the shows, or was you just happy to be announcing on the shows?
I did not. I did not interfere with the booking at all. That was not my job. And early on, when I first started doing the show, I didn't go to the pre-show meetings. I didn't want to because I wanted to react the way a fan would react when I was on the air. Now, of course, later I had to, so I attended all the pre-production meetings and all of that sort of thing. But it was not something, even when I was in the whole meeting, from start to finish. The only time I would make any suggestions at all as to what was going to happen on the show is if they would try to do something that I felt put the station in jeopardy. I would say, no, you cannot do that. I was kind of the liaison for the television station, and we had to keep the very valuable broadcast license more than we had to keep a wrestling show. So I was able to veto a few things like that, but it was very, very rare that I ever had to do that.
I feel like you're looking at my notes here, Mr. Brown. That was my next question. Did you ever want to know the outcomes or not? Because there was a lot of announcers that said they really do like to react to what they see. So I tell you what, since you answered that, we'll skip on to the next one. Brian Christopher was a really good friend of ours before he passed away last year. He actually did our show a couple months before he passed away, and he talked a lot, and we did a memorial show for him here on P3 Radio. But wondered if you had any memories working with Brian. I know you were involved in that one where he had we talked to him about it, where he had the scale and
the little red
wagon and everything like that. Do you have any good memories of working with Brian?
Oh yeah, a lot of them. Brian was always coming up with stuff like that. The little red wagon full of belts, and I thought that was hilarious, and just all sorts of things like that. Of course, he came out with pure energy. He was kind of a modified handsome Jimmy Valiant. Come out with all this energy. The studio, and you could feel the energy level go up when he came out for interviews or for a wrestling match. I'm trying to think. There were, I'm sure, a lot of individual things that I remember about Brian and the various matches, but the main thing, of course, I'd known Brian since before he got into the wrestling business, and when he had his first match. And Jerry said, no, he said, I'm not gonna let him go, big time. Yeah, this was kind of, I think it was wrestling spot shows maybe. And, I remember Eddie Marlin said, Lawler, don't hold him back. He's ready. Well, Jerry gave it more thought, and sure enough, next thing you know, Brian Christopher is, dancing out for interviews on Saturday morning.
Is there anything that a fan has ever done that just kind of puts you on edge, like, I'm a little nervous here. I don't know if this is a good deal?
Because we talked to Bill Dundee, and we've talked to some of these guys that had to actually fight the fans back in the day, back in the 70s and 80s. They were fighting their way to the ring and fighting their way back. Did you ever witness anything that made you a little nervous?
Not that I can think of offhand. I think that tended to happen more at the live events than it did at the television station. Of course, I wasn't able to go to a lot of live events because I had to be at the television station to do the weather on the 10 o'clock news that night. So only sometimes was I able to go to the live events. But most of the incidents I heard did occur at the live event things.
Well, with people like Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone making their return to the announcer's desk, it begs the question, would you ever consider making your way back into the wrestling world?
I think the answer to that, and you never say never, but I will say as close to never as possible. Never. For one thing, I'm enjoying being retired and not having to be someplace any time for something like that. I only do what I want to do mostly, and do it when I want to do it. Another thing, I think we had something very, very special in Memphis wrestling during the 70s and the 80s in particular, and even into the 90s and the Power Pro era. I look back at some of those shows, and they were darn good television. And I am very, very proud of what we did then, that body of work. And I don't want to do anything to dilute that. I just want to kind of keep that where it is. And not all I've done in recent years is now and then when Lance was going to be available in the area, if Lance was going to be there and they asked me, I was always making sure that I was going to be there because I knew that our time with Lance was probably limited. But other than that, no, I don't foresee myself doing play-by-play anymore.
Well, you always had a very calm demeanor. And like I said, it also played a very big part when we were younger and you did the weather for us. And being from Jackson, Tennessee, you know that we always had bad storms here. And I remember very vividly right after the 99 tornado, we were getting hit with some really heavy storms. And I remember that you might have been the only one outside of the Jackson, like immediate Jackson area. You were in Memphis, but outside of Jackson, we had Weather Channel here, we had news channels here, and they were covering us almost like a circus. And I remember that you were the one covering a storm. There was another one coming towards Jackson, and you looked at it and you said, those guys have been through enough. Hopefully this storm just goes by and passes. And you actually comforted a lot of people here. And I've always said if I got a chance to tell you that, I was going to tell you thank you for that. But you've had that calm demeanor, and nothing really seemed to bother you on the air. But you did talk about Power Pro. There was an incident on Power Pro and we talked with this to Del Rios, the Spellbinder. We talked to Brian Christopher about it when he was on our show. There was an incident with Doug Gilbert, who came out and said some things off color. We won't repeat them here. Did you know that was going to happen? Because you definitely looked a little shook when he said it.
Absolutely did not know it was going to happen. Doug was off the chain at the time. He was uncontrollable and unpredictable. You cannot have it. You just can't have it. And I banned him from the television station. Peggy, his mother, she came up there and said, you got to put him back on TV. I said, don't. Until he does what he's supposed to do and doesn't go out on this wild stuff on his own, he's not going to be on our air. We also had an incident where we caught one of the wrestlers was coming in after they were high. Oh, wow. And I mean, like, really high. And I banned him from the air. I said, you're not wrestling today, and get off our property. You're not allowed here. Well, our television station license was threatened, and Doug didn't realize it, but he could have been threatening our television license at the time. By the way, Doug and I are good friends today. We put that behind us a long, long time ago. But, a couple of things like that did happen. And I also remember Scott Bowden. And Scott Bowden kept using a word for a mentally challenged person, and he used it over and over again. And finally, I just shut the interview off and threw him off the air. He thought he was doing good. He thought I was egging him on, but I wasn't. I was telling him the truth, that you are not going to use that word, and if you use it one more time, you're out of here. Now, I would do things like that, but again, that was to protect the television station more than anything else. As far as being calm during weather, I've never wanted to scare people, and I never have been a believer in this happening, even to this day, a lot, what I call the cry wolf syndrome, and that is, if I forecast a tornado 9 times in a row, and there is no tornado anywhere near you, then on the 10th time, you ain't going to believe a thing I say. So that is something that I just didn't want to. I'm not going to say overly excite people. I didn't want to scare people unnecessarily, and that was always my approach doing weather.
Now, you mentioned keeping the TV station at a nice place there. I know there was a big incident that took place with Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert and Jerry Lawler, where Lawler got hit by a car, and I know there was a lot of real heat on that from like city officials coming out and police cars and stuff like that. Now, was there any heat on the studio for doing that angle where Lawler got hit by the car?
No, because it was very controlled and we knew what was going to be happening. The problem came in is because our television station parking lot was directly across the street. I mean, it was 150 feet from a big Memphis police precinct. So there were police cars going in and out all the time. So, yeah, the police did show up, but, we got it all under control. Yeah, it was a scary thing because, Jerry could have gotten hurt. And fortunately he did, but that was quite scary.
We absolutely appreciate your time, Mr. Brown. Always a pleasure getting to talk to somebody that we idolized and looked up to growing up. Thanks again for being a part of P3 Radio for us.
Glad to talk to you guys.
Wow, Josh, that was awesome. Talking to Dave Brown here on P3 Radio. That was really cool of Dave to do that for us.
I still can't believe it, man. We actually got him on the show.
Yeah, I still can't believe it either. What are you stuttering for? Are you that nervous and excited that we had Dave on?
I am.
Yeah. I mean, it was really cool that he did that, man. And I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss for words, aren't you?
I am. It still hasn't set in that we actually had the interview because, like you've said before, he doesn't do many of these, and it was like a pipe dream to get him on.
Yeah. So, I mean, really cool. Thanks again to Dave Brown for being on with us today. But we've got more show, Josh, and I've got a question for you. What are some things that you did when you were a kid that were legal? Little kid.
Well, aside from building little M80s with my dad for beaver dams, I'm just joking. My dad wasn't a bomb maker. Just want to make that clear. Now, I rode the bike pretending I was Crew Jones or, played with my skateboard or wrestling men or something like that.
Now, when we were younger, we played little games, and there were certain things that you would do. You would pretend that you were at the World Series, and you'd be hitting a ball, and, I got a hold of it. He hits the home run for the World Series. He wins it all, Or you'd be playing football, and you'd be like, he won the Super Bowl. Or basketball, the NBA championship is all his. But, you would do that in those games, but you would play the other games. The other games like Red Rover. There wasn't a Red Rover championship.
I'd have tried to get it if it was. I love that game.
Red Rover is one of those dodgeball. It didn't have, but Red Rover is one of those that's way more violent than they ever dodgeball ever thought about being. But I think they outlawed Red Rover years ago.
I wonder why.
Broken arms and necks, maybe.
Dental bills and everything else.
But for the most part, none of the games outside the big 3 games that you played as kids, the baseball, football, and basketball, none of the games you would think ever went to a pro level, right? None of those little games like hopscotch and stuff like that, right?
Surely not. No. I cannot imagine there's a hopscotch world championship.
It would be the most boring thing to watch.
It would.
Welcome back to ESPN 3, the National Hopscotch Championships. No.
It would have to be on at like 2 a.m.
Yeah. But I wanted to point this out to you. There is a professional tag league, Josh. Professional tag, your favorite childhood game, is now a pro sport. And we're going to play a little video here for you. You think you're a pro at tag? These people actually are.
So they set up kind of like a jungle gym type thing of tables and whatnot.
Yeah.
Looks like a big giant Pipeworks thing. Do you remember those Pipeworks that they sold? This looks like they just built a bunch of crap out of that and they're playing tag.
Speaking of Pipeworks, this is what I dreamed of when I saw you could buy those life-size blocks. This is what I thought you could build with them, is these big parkour. It's basically parkour. And basically one guy starts off and starts chasing this other guy, and he's got all these obstacles he can run around. It looks really fun. I wouldn't last a minute on any of this stuff.
I was sitting here thinking this is fun to watch, but I would last about 2 seconds, and one of these guys would do a double kick flip over one of them tables and would tag me, and that would be it.
Throw something at him. I can't catch this man.
Rip the pipe off and use it as a foreign object.
Yeah. But, I mean, that is... It's really cool to see this. I never even knew this existed. And we're talking about on an international level, Josh.
Is there any money involved?
I don't know. I think there might be. Well, here, we'll watch another one. This one's called World Championship Tag Match 2, Eugen versus Apexcape. So
must be a team-oriented thing.
Yeah, so
it's kind of like dodgeball or something.
Right. So they start off in this 30 by 30 space, you would think. Well, no, maybe 40 by 40 space. And they're just chasing each other around this area. And he gets tagged. And that's it. It was 7.4 seconds it took him to get tagged.
I guess they do like a coin toss to determine who's it.
Yeah. But you see, they have world flags there, Josh, or national flags there. It looks like France versus Sweden. And this
is really cool, though. This is something that I would strive to be good at as a child, to look forward to, to competing in.
I never would have thought this would be a thing. And that makes me wonder if they do have a Red Rover championship.
Well, naturally, we need to type that in.
But I mean, I just thought I ran across this on a random thing. I was, at a location, and they were watching this, and I'm like, what in the heck is this? And they were like, it's a new thing called, it's not new, It's called National World Championship Tag. And I was like, World Champion? And I was like, that's pretty cool. But it looks like you'd have to be very, very well in shape, and you'd have to be good at parkour, too. Like, if you're a parkour champion, then you're good.
Or at least what one would call in the South the squirrely dude.
I mean, you got to think that whoever wins the National Tag Championship is immediately put on like a what?
I see International Red Rover Championships, but it's from Divine Comedy.
Yeah, I don't.
But there's one up under it.
All right, but anyways, I think that if you win the National Championship of Tag or the International Championship of Tag, you're immediately put on like a police watch list. It's like, well, if this guy ever gets on the loose, we'll never catch him.
We can't contain this man.
Especially if it's in a playground. It'll just look like one of those Benny Hill skits. Right. I don't know, Josh. You pick one out if you think that.
Well, I see one that says Epic Red Rover, and this is at a school.
Yeah.
And these are teenagers looking like it's probably 1999 or something like that. I think it could be pretty interesting. But I also see this one where it's a parody.
Yeah.
Red Rover Challenge on a road trip. And these are small children. We don't need to see that.
No,
if any of
teenagers getting hurt's fine.
I think. Okay, here we go. Epic Red Rover.
All right, so they are at a school. This must have been during like a fire drill, maybe?
I don't know. These kids look older to be, like a little old to be playing Red Rover.
And she just straight up tackled her. So if you've never played Red Rover, the object is you hold hands with your neighbor, and it's a game of like how many people are left standing.
You're trying to bust a human chain,
yeah,
pretty much. There's all the people that didn't want to participate,
right,
sitting on the floor.
So you call one of the people in line over, and if they don't bust the human chain, they have to join your chain. If they break the chain, so far nobody's done it so far, but if they break the chain,
they're all like 18 years old.
They get to take two people back with them to their chain. So the two people that they broke hands, they get to bring those two people back to the chain. So it's up until one person's left standing. And sometimes standing's hard after you run through a clothesline. It looks like they're playing kind of nice here, though, Josh.
They really are.
They're doing Irish whips, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's busting through. He was running like the Ultimate Warrior.
The trick was at Red Rover was you picked the girl that was talked into playing for even teams. I know that sounds bad, but it was always the girl like in the back that got hit in the face with the dodgeball that was just out there because it was like no one got to set out in dodgeball. And she'd always get hit in the face and her glasses would go flying off and everything. But that was the people that you would want to attack in Red Rover. But when those people were gone and you had Bruno that had failed 4 years in a row out there, and it's like, man, he might be on steroids.
Oh, they are. This is a volleyball game that I pulled up. It says Red Rover Tournament, but these people's mascots are the Red Rovers. They are the what is it? What town does it say? It's abbreviated EAHS Red Rovers.
Yeah. Did you know? Speaking of that mascot's terrible by the way. But did you know that?
What would it be like? Just like a big fat guy?
Imagine like
forming a human chain off of the flag.
I imagine when I think of a Red Rover, for some reason I think of like the 7-Up Spot, but like hairier, like he hadn't shaved, like just shaggy, like whatever, man.
That's a shaggy bottom Red Rover.
I got fired by 7-Up, man. Now I'm just out here hanging out by this high school.
He gets fired by 7-Up and turns into the dude from Big Lebowski.
Whatever, man. Oh man. No, I mean the worst name that's up there with bad names for high school mascots. But did you ever hear of the Polka, West Virginia's mascot?
Polka,
West Virginia. Polka, P-O-C-A, Polka.
Oh, no.
Polka, West Virginia. It's the polka dots.
Oh, man.
Yes.
They're the dots.
They're the dots. And it's in, Mick Foley talked about it in his book, and I have a friend that recently moved to West Virginia for work, and when I went up there, Walmart sells these shirts that, they have like their little Southside High School or Northside High School or, James Madison High or whatever. You know, they always have those shirts. They actually had a Polka West Virginia Dots like high school shirt. And I thought about buying it so bad.
I bet that area has the largest concentration of homeschooled children. Just on the fact
be a dot.
you don't want to have that class ring. You don't want to have that, this is my where's your yearbook, Dad? I don't have one.
Right.
You were a polka dot? Yeah. God, that had to be awful.
Probably Dusty Rhodes' favorite school.
Maybe not.
With polka dots.
Polka dots, Daddy. Here, West Virginia, baby.
All right. So we got one more thing we can talk about before we have to get out of here, Josh. So I got to thinking about this. You know, the 80s movies, when you watch them back, some of them hold up as being kind of cool. Some of them hold up as like, what in the heck's going on here? Like, if you ever just go back and watch, Back to the Future. If you ever go back to the past and watch Back to the Future. You know what I'm saying?
Like, have I went back to the past? Or
I
couldn't understand what you were saying.
No, like you're going back in time through the art of video.
Yeah, I love it.
So if you ever watch it back, you're like, man, this is a good movie. But then you realize all the things that are wrong with like, oh my God, what are they doing that? They're doing that now? They're doing that in this movie? And you don't really think about it when you're a kid, but you look back on it, you're like, okay, that's not right. You know, especially like movies like Porky's.
Oh my God.
And just about any 80s movie is going to have something that's just wouldn't hold up in today's world, right?
Definitely. The 80s had that kind of feel of it was a free type society, but, there was a lot of people making a lot of different movies because it was the videotape boom, so that you had a lot of different production companies just creating content, and a lot of it was really slapstick and lowbrow type stuff,
Right.
A lot of that too you would always see on USA Network after 3 a.m. So, I mean, they knew what they were doing, but there was a lot of movies as well that were good and not in that light as well.
Well, one of my favorite movies as a kid was the movie Big.
Definitely.
And
I loved it.
And I got to thinking about it, and it was like, as a kid, that was just awesome, being an adult for a couple of weeks, And well, heck, let's watch the trailer for a second. Let's break down what I'm talking about here.
Josh Baskin, life was a little unfair.
Now, here's the funny thing. He says Josh Baskin. I remember when I was a kid going, that's my best friend's name.
There.
Why are they yelling at him to take out the garbage in the carnival?
He made a little wish.
And I love how they didn't even bring up the fact that he was just small for his age. That was all it was. He was just small for his age. But they're like, Josh Baskin has a hard time with life, and that's take out the trash. What does that have to do with being tall? I could see if like they were like nagging him about, but you're watching this movie and you're like, okay, this kid wants to be big. All right, cool. Let's see where this goes. And this machine comes on and says,
Wish I were big.
and it grants his wish for those people that wasn't born in the 80s. The machine was unplugged when he checks it. And he goes, that was weird. How did it come on and grant my wish? We're talking about one of these little carnival machines.
A Zoltar.
Zoltar machine. So he wishes to be big. And Josh, he gets his wish.
It's 7:30. Are you up?
He wakes up and he's Tom Hanks.
20th Century Fox presents...
How would you like to wake up to be Tom Hanks?
Well...
Just for a day.
Just to get access to his ATM and all that.
Trying to memorize all his numbers. 4938749.
Yeah, I'm here. I just want to take out all my money in the account.
Mr. Hanks, you sound weird.
You like you're over enunciating everything.
No, I'm sure I'm Tom Hanks. It's me.
Tom Hanks.
So
his mother chased him out of the house. Oh, there we go.
And it turned me into a grown-up.
So now what?
You get a job.
Cannot get a job.
So not only in the movie does he get a job, he gets like a high important toy representative job in like 2 weeks. He makes his way to the top of the chart in 2 weeks.
Or
has it been 2 weeks? Maybe a week?
I mean, I think he just signed up for the job after he got that apartment, or maybe I forget which one came first. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, but it's highly unlikely.
Yeah. It's like, you have no work skills. How would you like to run our toy company?
Yeah. So your resume is pretty much empty.
Right.
Here's the keys to the warehouse.
Yeah.
I play with all of this stuff, and then I tell them what I think.
And they pay you for that? Suckers!
Vice President, he's only been here a week.
Yeah. So he makes vice president of this major toy company, and all he does is he's just a consultant. And like they're like, play with this toy, and he's like, oh, this is no fun. It doesn't do this, which is every kid's dream. You know what I mean?
Really, it was. I mean, if I ever thought, and dude, I'm going to be honest with you. If I could find this gig right now,
Right.
where you just play with toys or whatever and give them your feedback,
Right.
I would quit my job when I went in Monday. I'm going to play with toys,
We'll
and
see y'all later.
I'm going to have fun with the rest of my life, and then I'm going to retire, and it'll be great.
And then it'd be like, you too. No, but then you know everything's happy about this for the first minute, right? But I feel like the music is the only thing that makes the back half of this trailer happy. Because if they were to play like some dark, ominous music on this back part, look how creepy this would be, Josh.
I loved your ideas on the squeezy doll line.
Okay, that starts it off. That is an adult woman.
Yeah, she's every bit of 30 years old.
Yeah.
And this kid's what, 12?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe 11.
Ooh, that's not good.
Not good.
And it's just all he's done is transform. He's soul jumped pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like he's
quantum leaped.
He's bloomed into a man overnight, and that's not his body.
Yeah, that's not him. So,
Thanks.
Despite all of his...
What were you like when you were younger?
Oh, well, that wasn't much different.
Eject your seat!
So...
Who are you? I'm his girlfriend.
Yeah, even the kid knows.
Even the kid's like, wow.
His best friend was like, who are you? And he's talking to this girl, and she's like, I'm his girlfriend. And he like makes his face like, hey, that's a felony. But I mean, if the only reason why this is happy and like, oh, that's cheeky fun is because
it's the 80s.
It's the music, and it's the 80s. But it's just the music. The music, like the dun 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 dun. Yeah,
Sesame Street jazz.
Yeah, like.
I want to spend the night with you.
Do you mean sleep over?
Yeah.
Okay. But I get to be on top.
What is so special about Baskin?
He's a grown-up.
How do I feel about what?
How do you feel about me?
You're only young once.
This is important!
I'm your best friend. What's more important than that, huh?
But for Josh,
I miss my family, Susan, and I want to go home.
Oh my God, you're married.
it just might last a lifetime.
But I love how they keep putting the romantic spin on it, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, but
you know how creepy this would be.
I'm going to tell you something.
Here's the hypocrisy. I'm gonna get on my soul. Here's the hypocrisy in Hollywood. Like, how creepy would this be if this was the genders were reversed and it was a girl that wished to be bigger, like older, and
then
like
Benny Mardones showed up.
This movie wouldn't even be made. But the fact that it's a guy, it's like, he's just a little boy. You know, he'd be all right. It's like, no, dude, this movie's ending is kind of messed up. Let's be honest. Like, she finds out that he's not lying and he wishes on a machine. She goes and finds him, like, oh my God. And then, like, as he's telling her bye, she kisses him. Like, he goes in to kiss her. And at least good sense prevails here, and she kisses him on the head. Like, oh, I'm sorry. And she kisses him on the head, and he gets out of the car, and he shrinks in his suit, and he's back to being an 11-year-old boy again. Is that not the creepiest thing ever, though?
That is when you think about it, because.
But I guess they couldn't do it the other way, where Tom Hanks likes dating like an 11-year-old. So I mean, they're really kind of painted themselves in a corner here. I know it's kind of odd to be talking about a movie that's 30-something years old, 31 years old. But I mean, let's be honest. There was no winning there. If he dated an age-appropriate girl, there's no way they're going to let that go. But just because they both look age-appropriate, it's like, okay, cool.
They were treading on some weird waters,
yeah.
But it was one of the most successful movies of the 80s.
I still quote it to this day. Sometimes if I'm working on like a computer or something and like it won't shut off, and I'm like, Maybe I should wish to be little again or something. I make a reference to it. But man, this whole thing was odd.
Especially with that happy jazz in the background.
Yeah, well, that was what they were playing on the keyboard when they were jumping on it. The oh man, I don't know, man. I don't know what they could have done to make that any less weird, though.
Yeah, maybe just not have him a love interest. Maybe have him struggle in the corporate world and have to clean toilets, have a bad life,
right.
and then finally
he realizes
get his wish.
He wants to go home. Like, being a grown up ain't that great. No,
Yeah.
this man was like, wow, all it takes to be successful is just to be grown. I can do it now. Don't need college or high school or anything. I've got this.
I'll get the keys to the toy company.
There really should have been a life lesson taught here. It's like, no. There was no life lesson. It's like, if you just want it bad enough, you can do whatever.
I think it was careful what you wish for.
Yeah, but the better lesson of careful what you wish for is if he would have been broken in the gutter, like on near death.
Had to crawl back to his old house. Please let me back in there. I don't know you, old man.
He's arrested, and then they come to the cell one day, and he's crying as a little boy in there. Like, go get him out. How did a kid get in here? Why is he wearing such big clothes?
His handcuffs are shrunk. Or, he shrunk in the handcuffs.
Trying to file his way out of the bars. Oh, man. Well, Josh, I think we've pretty much done it for today. And
we have done it.
That's going to end episode 118 with Dave Brown. We want to say thank you again to Dave for being a part of P3 Radio. And Josh, if they want to try to find some more of our episodes, how do they do that?
Well, however you're listening to this episode right now, you can go into the archives and find all kind of past episodes. Lots of good stuff in there. Lots of former wrestlers, current wrestlers, Olympic gold medalists, Super Bowl champions, people galore.
Lions, tigers, bears.
Oh my. And if you're on Twitter, you can go to @P3 Radio, the number 1. That's our handle. Facebook, type Pop Poncho in your search bar. You'll find our picture there. And if you want to get with us via text message, leave a voicemail, whatever, 24 hours a day, we are 731-300-6675.
Like Josh said, 24 hours a day. You can call that number. Leave us a voicemail. Prank call us if you want to. We don't care. That is your P3 Radio hotline to get in touch with us 24/7. Well, that's going to do it for us. For Josh Briley, this is Richard Mulligan saying thanks for listening and good night.